Hi everybody, welcome to Jewellfamilyfarm. So today we're going to be making some chicken noodle soup. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you need to get you some chicken. Now this is our homegrown chicken that we grow this summer here on the farm. And but you can use a whole chicken, or you can use cut up chicken that you buy at the grocery store. Whatever parts of chicken that you like, you can do all thighs or all breasts. Now, if you get it skinned without the skin on it, your soup is not going to be as flavorful as if you get parts of chicken that have the skin on it, because a lot of the flavor is in the fat underneath the skin and stuff like that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to cover this with some water. And this will need to cook for several hours. And I'm going to add in some chicken bouillon. I'm going to add a tablespoon of chicken bouillon to this, just to give it some extra flavor. Add some more water to it. Depending on how much chicken soup you want. Now this is, once I pull the chicken out, I'll put like the vegetables and the chicken in. So you need quite a bit of water to make the soup, or else you're going to have like a big pot of stew and it won't have the soup. So you don't want to add too much vegetables, Now half of this chicken, I'm probably not going to use it all in this chicken noodle soup. I'm probably going to only use half of this chicken in the soup and save the other half probably for next couple of days and make some chicken salad out of it. So that makes two. This whole chicken here will make at least two meals that will last us several days. So what we do is we put the water in your pot, almost about halfway up your chicken, and then add you some chicken bouillon. And I'm not going to add any salt to it because the chicken bouillon has a lot of salt in it, but I am going to put a little bit of pepper in here. Just pepper it to taste. The other thing I want to do is I would like to add some, now this is all optional, you can add garlic powder to it. Probably, just sprinkle it in there. I would say about a teaspoon of garlic powder. And you also can add some minced garlic, about a teaspoon of that. This is just to give it some flavor while it's cooking. I don't want to add my vegetables right now, because once it cooks down and makes all this nice good broth, and at that point I'll take the chicken out and then I'll add my vegetables. That's when I want to add my onions and celery and carrots and whatever else I'm going to put in here along with the noodles. Alright, so we're going to let this cook for probably a good 2 hours. You can cook it in the oven, or you cook it on top of the stove. I'm just going to cook this on top of the stove, and I'll cook it on about, I'm going to turn it up, almost to high till it starts boiling a little bit, like, starts cooking really good, and then I'm going to turn it down to medium, let it simmer the rest of the time. Alright. Okay, so we've cooked our chicken. It's been cooking for a couple of hours. We cooked it on top of the stove and added some water to it and some bouillon and a little bit of pepper. So we're going to let the chicken sit over here and cool down a little bit. It's all cooked up. We're going to let it cool down so that we can pick the chicken off the bones, because you don't want to put your bones in your soup. So what we're going to do now is cut up our vegetables, and I'll let you see how you do all that. Alright, so I've got 2 onions, and you can use any kind of onions that you like. Let me fix this. There. I think these are just sweet onions. 2 carrots and 2 stalks of celery. So I have used my little carrot scraper and scraped all the outside of the carrots off, all the peels. And cut the ends off, any bad spots. They've all been washed. Cut all the bad spots off the ends of the carrots, the celery. Washed all that, okay? So we're just ready to chop all this stuff up, and you can chop it up any way you want to. I like to put my onions, I like them to be kind of like in pieces like this. That's just the way I like it. You can do it any way you want. You can chop them up or whatever, but I just kind of like them in rings or half rings like this. Just the way I like to do it. I like a lot of onions in my chicken noodle soup. If you don't like onions, of course, as always, you don't have to put it in there. And you can put as much onion as you like. If you don't want a lot of onion, you don't have to put it. This recipes that I try to do is for, it fits a lot of different people and their way of eating, and I try to use ingredients that most people have in their home, and how to make a nutritious meal on a little, just a little bit of food. But a lot of times the things that I fix will feed quite a few people. So I'm just going to cut my celery up. Just little pieces, about like that. Okay. And we got our broth over there, and it looks really nice. This chicken that we raised this summer, they are really, really good, and they're very tender when you cook them. So we're really pleased with the way those turned out. We're going to get some more. I think we're going to raise maybe 2 or 3 more batches of them next spring for the freezer. And one of the other things that we're thinking about doing is getting a couple little breeding pigs so that we can sell pigs. You know, people, either live pigs, or they can come for if they want to have pigs to butcher. So that's one of the things that we're thinking about doing next spring. We haven't really decided 100% yet, but these big carrots, I just kind of cut them in half. And, well, actually in quarters. Now this is a soup. This is not a stew, so you want to make sure that the carrots are kind of small. You don't want big chunks of carrots, you know, like this. For soup, that's more of a stew. So these carrots you want cut fairly tiny. My dogs are on the other side of the counter eating their food. That's what all the crunching and munching you hear going on back there. It's a beautiful day here in Virginia. You can put as many carrots or as little carrots as you want, or you don't have to put carrots. This is chicken noodle soup, so you don't have to put any vegetables at all if you don't want to. You can just put your chicken and your noodles in it, which my grandkids would rather have it that way. They're not much on eating vegetables. Alright, so you just keep cutting up your vegetables, and when I get done, I'll be back. Okay, so we got most of our vegetables all cut up, and I'm going to go put these in the pot, and then we're going to come over here and take this chicken off the bone. Let these cook up for a few minutes. So I'm just going to go put these over here in the pot. Turn that on and let it cook for a few minutes, and I'll take you over there and show you what it looks like. But right now we're going to take all this meat off the bone. Now, depending on what you like best in your soup, you can put whatever kind of meat you like in there. As far as chicken goes, you can put, you know, like I said before, you can pick and choose what parts of the chicken that you want to put in yours, but I think the thighs are really good in there. So I'm gonna save. I think I'm gonna cut the chicken in half and just pick off the parts that I want. So I'm gonna do this, and I think I'm gonna do one of the chicken breasts, and I don't know. I'll see what else I want to put in there when this is done. But you just pick your chicken off your bone. It's not hard to do. Just grab it and pull it off. Here's a chicken leg. I'm going to put a chicken leg. I take all the skin off. I don't put that in my soup. Anything that's got skin or gristle or anything like that, I take off. See how nice it comes off the bone? And that's what it should do. It should be cooked up good enough till it just falls right off the bone like that. If it's a little bit on the tough side of pulling it off, then, or if your meat looks a little pink, then you need to put it back in your pot and let it cook a little longer. That just means your chicken's not good and done. And you don't want to eat chicken that's not, you know, cooked really well. Just cut it up into pieces, however big of pieces you want to put in your soup. I usually try to leave fairly good sized pieces because I know my husband, he likes, you know, he likes to have some chicken in his soup. He don't want little pieces that he's like, oh, did I eat a piece of chicken? I don't know. So, anyway, I'm going to pull, oops, sorry. I'm going to pull this breast off. I'm going to cut it. See how nice how that came apart? Take all the bones. You don't want the bones. Put that in there. Take the skin off. Okay. Check underneath. You got to check for bones under here too. See that little wishbone? There's a wishbone in there. Okay. So I think we got all the bones. So just cut it up. It's still kind of hot. If I'm making barbecue, you know, like for sandwiches, chicken barbecue, I take it and I shred it like this. Shred it up into pieces like that. But since it'll shred like this anyway, but I'm trying to keep chunks for the soup. But if you don't want chunks in yours, you just cut it up any way you want to. It's your soup. Make it the way you like it. Alright. I don't want to put too much chicken in there because once you put your noodles in, you don't want your noodles to, because I'm going to use spaghetti noodles in my soup. You can use other kind of noodles. Egg noodles are good if you know that the whole pot's going to be eaten in one day or that one meal, like if you're feeding other people and you know you're going to eat that whole pot of soup, then egg noodles or anything like that is good. But for putting leftovers in the refrigerator and warming it up the next day, I found that spaghetti noodles work really good and they don't fall apart. The egg noodles will get, they fall apart and makes your chicken noodle soup mushy. I don't like that. All right, let's come over here. All right, so here's our vegetables in our soup. See this? It doesn't put too many vegetables in there. We're going to go ahead and put the chicken in. You want to make sure that you got a lot of broth in there now. You might need to add you some more chicken bouillon, depending on what the broth tastes like. So let me get my spoon. Let's see what the broth tastes like. Okay, I think you need to add just a little bit more chicken bouillon, maybe about 1/2 tablespoon or a teaspoon. I think that'll be plenty. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of celery seed, maybe about 1/4 of a teaspoon, not much. Okay, and I'm going to add some more pepper. I'm not going to put any salt in it because the chicken bouillon was salted enough where you don't need to add no more salt to it. Okay, we're going to let that cook, let those vegetables get tender, and then we're going to turn the heat up on it, and we're going to put the spaghetti noodles in, because it has to be boiling before you put your spaghetti noodles in, just like you make spaghetti. If not, they just get kind of mushy. Okay, be back soon as these vegetables get tender. There was one other thing I wanted to tell you, that at this time, that if you want to put some cream of chicken soup in there, you can do that. Sometimes I add it, sometimes I don't, but I'm not going to add it this time because I don't want all the salt in there, because I've used chicken bouillon, so I don't want to put this in there and then have an overload of salt. So, but if you don't use chicken bouillon, or maybe just a little bit of chicken bouillon, you can add this cream of chicken soup, and it's really good in there too. It makes it taste more like, you know, Campbell's type canned chicken soup. A little bit of that flavor. Don't taste bad. It tastes really good with it in there. Don't get me wrong, but if you like that kind of taste, then you'll love it in there. Okay, I think our vegetables are pretty cooked and tender looking, I would say. They'll cook more once you put the noodles in, and while your noodles are cooking, the vegetables will also cook. So I'm going to turn the stove up and let it come to a boil. And you can use spaghetti noodles, fettuccine noodles. You can use any kind of noodles you want. I just have spaghetti noodles on hand, and I try to use what I have on hand. I'm trying to go spend any more money on things, you know, so whatever I have in the house is what I use. Now I did add a little bit of crushed garlic to this, from, you know, like the kind that's in the jar in the refrigerator. Let me show you. I added a tablespoon of this kind of garlic just because I like to have that in my soup. I don't know, I just feel like it does something to keep colds away. I don't know. I don't know if it does or not. That's what I think. You don't want to put too many noodles in here. It'll get all mushy and everything. So you want to break these up into thirds, about this big. Scoot them around all in there. So 3 snaps. I think I'll just put a few more. So I would say probably about, I don't know how you would measure spaghetti noodles unless you counted them. I don't know how, I guess you could weigh it in ounces. But, you know, I put 3, about this much in there. 3 little batches of this size. And I think that's probably about all you want to put in there. And let that boil a little bit. Cook all those noodles up, and it will be ready. Alright, as soon as these noodles cook, we'll serve it up. Yep, I'm leaving my pot lid off. You don't want to put your pot lid on it while you're cooking your noodles. Just stir it every now and then. It just depends on really how much noodles you want in there too. I mean, if you like to put crackers in your soup, you want to have more soup, you know, more broth. But if you don't, and you just want, you know, a lot of noodles, you know, add more noodles. Either way, it's good. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. Let it simmer a little bit. The only reason you want it to boil when you first put your noodles in, so they won't clump, the noodles won't clump together. You kind of want them to be moved around some in there with the bubbles that are boiling. Okay, we're going to let that simmer, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. And then we'll come back and check on it. Alright, so it looks like the noodles are cooked good. And I think our soup is done. It looks good. It smells good. Let me get some bowls. Let me get a bowl and dip it up. That looks delicious. Let me turn a light on here. I think I turn another light on. Oh, that's better. Put a little bit of pepper on the top of it. Going to be really good. I can't ever figure out where the camera is at. There it is. See how the noodles, bowl's kind of hot on the bottom. Let me get something to hold it up. See how the noodles, they don't cook up. They stay, you know, in the shape they're supposed to stay in. Also, you can use fettuccine noodles for this. You can use egg noodles, like I said, but they'll get, if you put it in the refrigerator overnight, that they kind of break down a little bit. I don't know if I can taste this or not. It's kind of hot. I know the broth is really good. The broth tastes delicious. Oh, so good. Big old chunks of meat in it. Celery's really good in it. And the carrots. You're going to like this, I think. You should try it. Alright, take care. Hope to see you next time. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And this soup here is a good hearty soup for let me fix this camera. So this is a good hearty soup for the winter time, on cold nights, cold days. It's just really good. And you also, one other thing I wanted to tell you was you can cook the chicken in your crock pot, like put it on in the morning when you go to work, or you can cook it at night while you're sleeping, and then just transfer all the juices into a cooking pot on the stove, and you can add to it. So I hope you like this. Take care. See you next time. Count your blessings. Bye.